cut them down like they're butter, and they really are pretty useless.
Fuck you. So maybe the Queen and the Handmaiden, it's like a little game that they play, you know?
When I'm the queen, I'm gonna have you go clean toilets. When I'm the queen, I'm gonna have you die for me in a horrible explosion.
Oh, wait. Fuck you.
You sniveling cocksucker. Fuck off. You think you're so smart. You think you got it all figured out. You gave poor assessments. Trash George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars. Your feeble mind couldn't take unconventional filmmaking, so you lashed out and indirectly caused one of the greats to sell his own work. You're being a fucking dick, and you know it. I don't want to hear Red Letter Media this, Red Letter that. I've heard enough. Listen, bitch. You better learn something, bitch. You better learn. You claim George was surrounded by yes men, with no proof whatsoever. You claim the movies were bad over stupid shit like shield generators. And this is who you put up? The guy who said fuck you to the man who crafted an entire legacy and handcrafted childhoods on a silver platter. You're a rude, annoying, cringe-inducing, fat-ass jerk talking shit about other people when you need to keep your own head in check. You're the most overrated hack who's ever lived. Fuck off. You don't know a lick of what you're talking about, and you helped take down an entire legacy.
Can you shut the fuck up?
Can I get a head check for the amount of cringe I had to sit through for this?
So maybe the Queen and the Handmaiden, it's like a little game that they play, you know?
When I'm the queen, I'm gonna have you go clean toilets. When I'm the queen, I'm gonna have you die for me in a horrible explosion.
Oh, wait.
Ugh, and you put up this dude.
Number 9. If I get a brain aneurysm as the result of this review, can I hold the filmmakers responsible? At this point, I realize who the Phantom Menace is. No, it's not Jorge.
What's with the Jorge thing? His name is George. Get it right, dumbass. Get it right.
It's Qui-Gon Jinn. His character is totally baffling to me, and I do not know why he's in this movie.
His character is baffling to you? Oh, really? Smart, sly, kind of slick in a subtle way. One with the Force, with a layer of depth and subtlety. He also shows restraint, but also he'll do what is necessary to achieve a greater goal. He's Qui-Gon Jinn. Wise, smart, kind of cool. He's one of the best characters. There's so much in the movie. You just for one fucking second, pay the fuck attention and stop going on and on about the holy sanctum of just the original trilogy. Like that's the only thing that exists. You would know that.
If you ask me, Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi should have been combined to form a new character called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No, they should not be combined. That's a terrible idea. They both served a purpose for the story. You would lose the connection between master and student. You would lose great elements of the plot, like the Battle of Naboo Theed. You would lose Obi-Wan learning to be wiser and smarter in his later years. Gee, I don't know how. I don't know. Could it be Qui-Gon showed him this? And that's why he later on communed with him with the Force?
Obi-Wan should have been the younger, eager, adventurous Jedi who found Anakin, formed a bond with him, and then really wanted to train him in the Jedi arts when Yoda told him no.
That's your opinion. Oh, Obi-Wan should have been more adventurous and all that. Yeah, that's because you have your own character in mind. George had his own character in mind. Next time George wants to come to you for some fucking advice, he'd ask for it. That's your opinion of how you thought the continuation of the original trilogy should be. And that's the biggest problem with Red Letter Media and his fanboys. They were just mad that it didn't match the original trilogy. It wasn't supposed to. It's supposed to be different, unique, new. And that's what it was. So Obi-Wan is a prime example of that. He's not the way he was in A New Hope, because this was years ago, when he had not yet attained wisdom. And you're going on and on about how you wish the continuation of the original trilogy should be.
Instead, Obi-Wan, who seemed totally irritated with Anakin the whole movie, suddenly wants to train him at the end, only because Qui-Gon said to.
I gave Qui-Gon my word.
Yes, that's the point. When Qui-Gon died, this causes the beginning of a fundamental change in Obi-Wan's character. He starts to develop. He starts to change. What is wrong with change? What is wrong with the character not being the way he was in the original trilogy, when the original trilogy takes place after?
If they did have to have Qui-Gon, they should have had him on the ship, just like meditating the whole movie and saying very little and just being wise.
You complained earlier, said Obi-Wan didn't get enough screen time. He was just on the ship. That's what you said. And your brilliant, thought-provoking, genius, next-level intellectual conclusion is, oh well, Qui-Gon should have just meditated and stayed on the ship. The whole movie, you just exposed your own double standard. 1 second, it's a nightmare having Obi-Wan here. Like this, just staying on the ship. Oh, that sucks. That's what you said. Then you advise the same treatment to Qui-Gon and say he needs to stay on the ship. But you just said Obi-Wan was on the ship, and that sucked. So why advise the same thing for Qui-Gon? You see what I'm talking about? This is why I don't follow in the footsteps of red letter seething media.
Then when Qui-Gon dies, Obi-Wan is left to move on without an older, wiser voice of reason, thus setting the stage for a poorly trained Anakin.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Yeah, George, that's true. But the only thing poetic here is that I was vomiting in stanzas.
It's all cope, bro.
I don't even know what that means. So for no reason, Obi-Wan is the one who does not want to defy the Council.
Obi-Wan is the only one who doesn't want to defy the Council. Yes, that's the point. He's different from Qui-Gon. They aren't the same, fundamentally different characters, will have different points of view.
He's not a risk taker and he complains all the time like a woman.
We could be stuck here a very long time.
He complains, okay, and Obi-Wan has a sarcastic demeanor. Where do you think that started? Oh, wait, when he was a young teen and didn't know any better, yet he was quite intelligent and cared about his master. So there's actually elements written into the character's depth.
Then the older, wiser Jedi is the opposite of what he should be. Let's break down Qui-Gon.
Let's break down Qui-Gon. Oh, I dare you.
All the way to his midichlorians. Number 1, he has very questionable moral values.
Number 1, questionable moral values. Wrong! He can be quite sly with how he achieves his goals, but he has good intentions, and he's a righteous person. So that was wrong.
Qui-Gon Jinn repeatedly uses his Jedi mind trick to his advantage. Whether it's to get Boss Nass to give him a bongo,
Risa give Yusa una bongo.
which they completely trash, to use worthless money to scam Watto out of his ship parts.
Credits will do fine.
What he does, he did it to help save Anakin from slavery. How is that questionable? That's a justifiable act, and it wasn't even anything crazy. It was using the Force to win at dice. Stuff like that, come on, that's actually subtle. Did you even notice that? So no, it's not questionable if it's a justifiable act, and the act itself is nothing crazy.
Or to fix a legitimate bet to his advantage.
Moving some dice, dude, come on.
It's generally wrong to do these things, wouldn't you say?
Jedi mind tricks, yes, to help with the situation. Again, if it's a justifiable act, you can't call it a question of morals. When he did something good that could actually fucking help. Watto owned slaves, so he tried to use the Jedi mind trick so he wouldn't have to pay outside credits. That's smart. And he's a slave owner. Dude, so what? That's the point. And you're saying that was questionable. What was he supposed to do? Talk him down? Come on, again, a justifiable reaction. A justifiable action is not a question of morals. Watto is a slave owner, so if Qui-Gon decides to use his Jedi mind trick, then that's a justifiable act.
You can argue that the ends justify the means, but if that's the case, then why didn't Qui-Gon just steal the part from Watto? He could sneak in the middle of the night and just take the part.
So you question his morals 1 second, then want him to steal the next. Dude, how can you get on a character and say they're morally questionable? But you're saying, well, why didn't he just steal? You are so goddamn stupid, and people put you up like you're some great critique. You said, fuck you to George Lucas. You're being a fucking dick. You said, oh, Qui-Gon's morals are questionable when he's trying to save a kid from slavery and didn't even steal like you thought he should. He used the Force instead. So, you're still going with this foolish argument of immorality, having them do stuff that resorts to violence and other things instead of just using the Jedi mind trick. And the irony of this is that you said that it was wrong for him to do so. So you'd rather him use violence? Your logic is all over the place, and people take this dude seriously. Are you for real?
Or take it by force. And I don't mean that kind of force. I mean choke Watto while Padme grabs the part and they run out of the shop. Basically, it's the same as trying to trick him into accepting a worthless currency for the part. In the end, Watto's just out of the part. This also leads me to believe that Qui-Gon Jinn is incredibly stupid.
How is he incredibly stupid when you're the dumb one for making a poor assessment?
He could have just went to another junk dealer and used his Jedi mind trick to swap out the Republic credits for money that Watto would take. In fact, when they arrive in town, he says,
We'll try one of the smaller dealers.
smaller dealers. Well, that implies there's larger ones. Watto tells him he's the only guy in town who's got the part.
And no one else has a T-14 hyperdrive, I promise you that.
Well, either Watto is using an older-than-dirt sales tactic, or Qui-Gon can really pick out which shop to go to randomly. Oh, wait. I guess midichlorians told him where to go so they could find the boy. It was Destiny or something. Hey, here's another idea. Why don't you trade the Naboo cruiser for a less fancy but functional ship? Or maybe hire a transport. Pay them all the money you have now and then promise more when you get to Coruscant. Sound familiar?
Why would you insult the filmmaking 1 second, then bring up a poor point the next? Selling the ship for a less profitable, less powerful ship is a bad idea. Why would you do this in A New Hope? The only reason Obi-Wan agreed to ride such a bad ship, that's the Millennium Falcon's reputation, although I think it's badass, but based on the Millennium Falcon's reputation, the only reason Obi-Wan agreed to ride it was because he had no other ship to use, so he had no choice. Here, they have one, and you want them to make a bad choice and call the movie stupid when your assessment was stupid. That's a bad idea. That's a less profitable, less powerful ship. Bad idea number 2.
Someone who's like a transport ship captain or a smuggler would have use for Republic credits, because they travel around the galaxy. Probably go to other spaceports. You know, makes sense.
Watto would never travel to Coruscant. He would only stay where he is. And where he is, they don't do Republic credits. This is why he tried to use the Jedi mind trick, because that kind of currency is useless out there. Other spaceports are way more expensive. Plus, he wants Anakin. He wants to save him. So he needs the slave owner of Anakin in order to get to him as well. So there's 2 reasons why that might not be the best idea.
But instead of using like the most common sense approach to everything, Qui-Gon concocts some kind of convoluted scheme so that we could get to the pod race. I honestly still don't understand it.
My ship will be the entry fee.
What would the boy ride? He smashed up my pod in the last race.
Well, I have acquired a pod in a game of chance.
So, you supply the pod and entry fee.
If it's going to be 50-50, I suggest you front the cash for the entry.
I supply the boy. We split the winnings 50-50, I think, huh?
You keep all the winnings minus the cost of the parts in the end.
So, you supply the pod.
We lose. You keep my ship.
Who was betting what? Then it gets more complicated later.
Just because you don't understand something doesn't make it convoluted or flawed. Just means it's something you didn't understand. Qui-Gon makes a bet and uses the Force to win at dice, thus being able to gamble for Anakin's freedom. If he wins the pod race, he is then free. If he doesn't, he remains a slave. You're actually going there. You're trying to make fun of the fact that the filmmaking itself is actually complex and requires brain power to understand. Have you lost your mind? Don't even, for 1 second, Plinkett, try to make it like this movie is convoluted when you clearly don't understand what's going on. So once again, I'll inform you. The boy tells me you want to sponsor him in the race. So Qui-Gon wants to sponsor Anakin in the race, but he can't do it without Republic credits. So Qui-Gon says my ship will be the entry fee. He tries to bargain. Watto wonders what will Anakin ride. He smashed the previous pod last time he raced. Qui-Gon says he's acquired a pod in a game of chance. So that means he can enter the race. And if it's gonna be 50-50, Qui-Gon suggests he fronts the cash in the beginning. Bam! I actually had to explain this to you.
Number 10, Anakin Skywalker. No one likes little kids, especially ones that can't act.
Peruska?
Cut. Let's try it again.
I'm a person, and my name is Anakin.
It's a kiss of death for your movie.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
The way they have it is that Anakin and his mom live in a comfy little hut, and if they leave, there's a bomb in their brain.
Any attempt to escape,
And they blow you up. Boom!
I think that's the worst plot device ever shoved into a movie for convenience. What purpose did Shmi Skywalker serve to Watto? That she cleaned her own dishes?
Young Anakin Skywalker has mannerisms and aspects of his own dialogue that feel connected to young Luke from the original trilogy. There was also someone else who had that spunk. It was Luke. There was also someone else who had that flair. It was Luke. There was also another character who had that sense of carefreeness. That was Luke. So a young Anakin would be similar to a young Luke in many ways, like father, like son. Dude, he's just a kid. He's not gonna be perfect, but he did a good job and did the best he could. Again, there are many moments that feel connected to a young Luke, where you can see the similarities of Luke Skywalker and young Anakin.
Oh, and then let's move on to this. What about the idea that Anakin is the one who built C-3PO? Wait. Oh. This is wrong for so many reasons. I'm gonna list 3 of them. So the idea is that Anakin built C-3PO to help his mom around the house.
He's a protocol droid to help Mom.
But a protocol droid is typically used for etiquette and protocol.
I suppose you're programmed for etiquette and protocol.
They're basically like robot diplomats, not really very handy technically.
Hello, I am C-3PO Human Cyborg Relations.
It says his human-cyborg relations. He doesn't say cleans dishes. C-3PO is clumsy, awkward, and useless, unless you need someone to translate a language.
I'm not much more than an interpreter.
Plus his arms don't even bend. What the fuck is he supposed to help the mom with? A vacuum would have been a better thing to build.
Explain to me, how is it wrong that he built C-3PO? What is wrong with this? He has a midichlorian count of over 20,000. That's Megaforce sensitivity. He can ride pod racers, invent things, and even build robots. Oh! And he eventually will be able to wield the Force. He's not using the Force directly. Yet. So it makes sense that the talent and potential will show itself in different ways. Hence, him building C-3PO. He built him as a protocol droid to help his mom around the house. That's some brilliant storytelling. That's genius. I'm just saying George Lucas was on a whole new level. Why are you getting on such brilliant storytelling? Also, he's just a kid, so he's not perfect, but did the best he could. George Lucas was on a whole new level. That's a brilliant idea. Protocol droids can help around too. They're also kind of self-aware, so they can go on adventures and journeys, giving you the illusion that they can just do one thing when they can do many things, because droids can do a lot of stuff with technology and helping around.
C-3PO is clumsy, awkward, and useless.
Clumsy, awkward, useless. Yeah, dude, he doesn't have to be one thing. He can serve more than one purpose for the story. He can be more if they want him to be. And why say otherwise? What is wrong with C-3PO being much more than a diplomatic droid? Now he does other things to help with human and cyborg relations and protocol. He's a protocol droid. He can also help around the house. What's wrong with that? He serves many purposes. You sound like an idiot right now. What else can he do? Oh, he's useless. He serves more than one purpose. That's a good thing, showing that the droid became so much more, just like R2-D2 when he became a hero for saving the Jedi during the blockade fleet.
Or maybe a vibrator, as it seems like the only action Shmi was getting was with the Force. Hey, maybe that's why they call it the Force. Ah, rape jokes. I love them. Also, if you're a little boy with the knack for building things with spare parts, then why would you build the exact same droid that seems to have been mass-produced by a manufacturing plant somewhere?
Why build a droid that was already mass-produced? Who gives a fuck? He built a droid. That's amazing.
Wouldn't you build some kind of unique robot from your own imagination?
Okay, you're reaching hard over something really stupid. Oh, he didn't use a robot from his imagination. It was from some manufacturing thingy thing. If you invent anything, you need a reference genius like you would know.
And to add to that, Watto already owned a protocol droid. It's laying there in the garbage dump. Why not just fix that one?
Look, it's a gunk droid. Oh, that's cool. Notice the great details like the subtlety. You see, George Lucas used Easter eggs subtly and calmly, not abruptly and every 5 seconds like in the new trilogy. And yet people put up those movies. Fine. But then they down on the prequels. Not fine. What the fuck? You can like the new trilogy all you want, but to trash the prequels after what those movies did, especially The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, I don't want to hear it. That's hypocritical. Just saying. But yes, seeing a gunk droid in the background of the prequels is fucking cool, especially if you're a fan of the original trilogy. I'm a fan of both. That's cool.
Oh, we're still on this planet, are we? So Qui-Gon manages to pull off the most convoluted bet ever and somehow wins everything except for Anakin's mother. Even at the end of the movie, when they save the day and probably could get the cash to buy the mom from Watto, they don't go back for 10 years. Number 10. On to planet number 3. Is it time for death yet? Welcome to Coruscant, home of the mid-air collision. And boring scenes. So the Queen waits around for some kind of approval or for something to stop her people from dying. Why are they dying? I guess they're dying though. But I didn't see anyone die. In fact, I haven't even seen any Naboo citizen at all. As far as I know, it's a city with 20 or so pilots, a couple of bureaucrats and officials. So then the Queen gets impatient, she asks for a vote of no confidence, and then decides to go back to Naboo to fight a huge invasion force alone.
Padme did not fight the Force alone. That was wrong. She fought with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. And she also got together the Gungans as well with Jar Jar. So together that formed the Gungan Alliance. So it was not alone.
Then the Jedi Council tells Qui-Gon that he cannot start training Anakin, but he does it anyways.
I'm not allowed to train you, so I want you to watch me and be mindful.
Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon both talk about how Anakin is dangerous when he's standing right there.
The boy is dangerous. They all sense it. Why can't you?
Oh God, I hope we didn't hear that. Did he hear that? So then George Lucas completely and utterly finally ruined Star Wars forever by having Qui-Gon explain that the Force is microscopic organisms.
Midichlorians are a microscopic life form that resides within all living cells.
Or that microscopic organisms in our cells tell us about the Force. Or something. This entire idea and why this is in the movie is so baffling to me that I cannot even wrap my mind around it. It was never even explored or mentioned in the following 2 films. I can really only sum it up with one visual image.
No, idiot. Midichlorians are a means to measure Force sensitivity. They are not directly the Force. Also, the more you have, the more you're able to wield from the Force itself. It communicates with the Force. The Force is more than just what was laid down in the original trilogy. Of course, you can't wrap your feeble little mind around it because you don't know what you're talking about and don't understand the movie or the Force. The idea of the Force was expanded upon greatly to a microscopic scientific level. That means that there's more to the Force than meets the eye. It's not just what was laid down in the original trilogy. Now it's topped down to a science.
Finally, we come to the stupid ending, where again nothing makes sense. After hours of boring, passionless, inhuman, robot-like, sleep-inducing dialogue, Jar Jar Binks screams in excitement that he's going home.
Come on, R2.
This was actually the most shocking part of the whole movie, because at this point you forgot you were a human being. Oh, that's right, I'm still alive, and I'm watching a movie, I guess. Wait, did something happen? Continued in part 6.
The ending, how the fuck did it not make sense? In the end, the Trade Federation gets blown up by Anakin, thus shutting down the shields held up during the Battle of Naboo. Also, the Naboo Guard and Padme and Obi-Wan are fighting the droids and fighting Darth Maul. What part of that was boring? All the depth in the choreography? All the action, spice, and pizzazz? All the intensity and weight? What are you talking about? It's finally over. Thank goodness, and thank you for watching. This was Tarragon, and I'm refuting Plankett's flawed assessments about these movies. Thank you for watching.